Happy Vlogmas J4! So today's not really a vlog. I don't really have anything to vlog. I'm just hanging around the house doing just like modules for my next contract. How boring. How unfortunate. But I am going to put up my second part of the reason why I canceled my contract, or my extension part for the contract I previously left. But in this part, it's going to like give you little nuggets of why agencies always kind of poo-poo on it. And it's mainly to do with like reputation, right? Your reputation is everything, and that's kind of the reason. And so I spill a little of that and a little of the consequences that could befall upon you if you make the decision of canceling a contract while you're in it, before you get to it. These are things that could happen. So don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And you can follow me on Instagram at nurselife_Jazzi, and we can be best friends there and spread inspiration to each other like confetti. Because remember, you will and you are a great nurse. Let's get into the video. Back to where I need to be, away from this hospital. And now, like, weeks have passed. I floated to a number of floors through these days, these weeks. I end up on another, like, smaller unit, such as this, where if there's like a two nurse kind of thing, staff with a 1 to 2 aides. But this particular time, there is a long-term patient here, and this long-term patient is not like Mother Mary or, you know, Miss Barbara, who is just like very angsty about how she takes her coffee. It's a male patient who's over like 6 foot whatever. I stand at 5'1", 180, 190 pounds, probably more now, because let's be honest, I've gained weight. But he's like 2+, okay? He's a thick, tall guy. And he's very sexually obsessed. He likes to go around and say the word right behind you. How much he would love to touch your, I mean, not like following you at a nice pace behind you. Right here. This is you. This is him. And so there was a lot of, you need to back up. You need to back up. Go to your room. Go sit down. Go do something else. Go watch TV. A lot of redirecting, which felt more like talking to a petulant toddler, honestly. Because you would talk to him very much like a toddler of, you need to go and sit down. Don't talk to me like that. You think I'm dumb? And he would just like, he would flip off switch, because he also had some psych issues as well. So which explained the switching of, he would act not his age, and then when it was too much, all of a sudden he became big man on campus, and now he's upset. So it became a point where it escalated to a point where it no longer of, go ahead, sit down, reorienting him, redirecting him was not working. We called security. In this particular shift, we probably called security at a number of times, 3 times. Not back to back, 3 separate times, quite spread out of this 12-hour shift. And this floor has 12-hour nurses. I think one time it was me, one time it was the aide, the next time it was the other nurse. And mine was called because a visitor was involved. He literally, you know, pushed the one, okay? She was kind, because she's like, oh, she has a brother who has a kind of like mental level of a disability, and that's how she shucked it off. And I was like, okay. By the time I had already called, though, and I was like, he needs to be redirected. He needs help, whatever. You would think that they would know the demeanor, the mannerisms, the behavioral pattern of this particular patient. Instead, at the summation of these 3 times of calling the security guards, each time was, well, he's not doing anything. Yeah, look at him, he's sitting down. And we're like, and I was like, so of course I'm the traveler, and I was like, do they not know this man, this guy, this patient, this person? I don't, confused. Which at the end of the 3 brought up the administrator, who comes to deliver us a shitty ass message from security. And I'm so sorry, it had to be shitty, because I was livid, and I was just like, okay. The message was, we are using security for unfounded reasons. We need to de-escalate the patient ourselves. I'm gonna be like the Spider-Man meme. You got one fucking job. You got one job, sir. One job. This is part of your job requirements. It's listed on there. It's written on there. I want to say it became the main catalyst of me not enjoying any more of my shifts there at this particular hospital. Because now the little things that I would just shuck off as whatever became more irksome, more tiresome, and they began to like build upon each other to the point where I want to say we're mid-November, getting close to Thanksgiving, the end of the contract. And so I call my recruiter and I go, hi, how are you? Yeah. Remember like the second or third week of me being here on this contract? You said blah, 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 and I signed it, blah, blah, yada, yada, yada. And he's like, yeah. Yeah, I can't come for January. No. And if you're like, oh no, it could be different in January. In my mind, I saw it happening quite over again, just in a repetitious way of now I know what the environment is and how they work it, how they handle it, of their situations, and really just what it is. But I couldn't put myself in the chair again to be like, I'm going to sit here and do this again for another 13 weeks. So, of course, many people talk to me, the recruiter talked to me, you know, for some of your travel agency groups, they have like nurses that work with them that kind of like can talk to you about any kind of situation, to like fill it out for you so they can better talk to like the hiring manager and like be like, yeah, listen, you guys kind of promised and it didn't kind of work out. Or they can, you know, easily to redirect you and be like, no, that kind of thing cause happened, da da da. Because let's be honest, I don't know everything. They don't know everything, and so sometimes you can be mad for misunderstandings. But on this particular occasion, I told of the incidents that were building upon each other that I was quite seeing as just like problems for me, and I did not want to bring back to be here again to sit through it for 13 weeks of maybe it won't happen, maybe it will happen. And I'm like, and I made it through this 13 weeks. By the skin of my teeth, honestly. So I was like, I can't hold myself back to the fire. I have to protect me, my license, my mindset. And for one, you know, I said, and if I were to respond in any matter of being upset or angry, you know, of like, no, I can't, then I would be deemed as not a team worker, insubordinate. The list goes on. And I was like, I'm not going to be thrown back in that because I'm carrying this. And then if I find out all this, frustration. And then if I come back for the 13 week and I meet that same frustration that I thought that I left in the last 13 weeks, right? Everyone's gonna look at me like I'm crazy if I say something. And so they go through the things. I talk to the recruiter. I talk to the clinical team for my agency. Again, going over several of the stories, my feelings on the facility, and what made it worse was that my recruiter and the nurse, and I guess because it's, I don't know, I guess because they send a lot of travel nurses there and they have like a great experience, or they don't report any kind of like mishappenings there. This hospital for this agency is like thumbs up. So quite, I guess, head turning for them, for me to be the one of, I don't want to come back. And honestly, I wanted to leave it at, I don't want to come back. I was quite okay with the consequences of canceling your contract. Now, you can cancel your contract. It is a frowned upon thing, even though hospitals cancel on nurses all the time, but a nurse canceling on a hospital is a very much big no-no. I mean, let's be honest, life happens. So emergencies with yourself, family, the hospital not going with the intended contract that's already written. Those are things that nobody's really going to like poo-poo you on, but situations such as myself, they seem to like, they squint at it. They squint really hard at it, because in these incidents it became very much a he say she say. Even if I were to have brought it to the administrator or the manager of that unit, it would be again he say she say, because let's be honest, I am the outside entity coming in, and now I'm accusing your staff of mishandling their authority as charge nurse and assigning me over what is the limit. Now come to find out that my contract has it in, if I do go to med-surg, I don't go over a 6-patient ratio. That is not a part of my contract. So I think that helped in my favor that the 2 incidents of the 7 ratio thing that occurred on my visit here played to that. And what else? And the fact that I wasn't canceling on them in a short-term notice. Like, it was basically like mid-November, and now you have the whole of December, and January would have been my restart of my extension. But canceling usually can sometimes come with the consequences of the hospital putting you on a do not rehire list. That becomes detrimental if that's a hospital that you tend to like frequent. So even if you were to like, I'm not gonna be a travel nurse anymore, and that is your home hospital or hospital that you would potentially like to work at in the future, you won't be able to, because you'll be on that do not hire list. But it was one that I was willing to be a part of. I mean, I don't know, anytime I'll be up in that particular part of New York, upstate, but I was willing to be on there. I was just I mean, it wasn't a big chain of a hospital, but it was big for that particular area. So he did, my recruiter did warn me of that fact. And also, if you do seem to be showing a pattern for your agency of you canceling your contract, mainly because, I don't know, grandma's died 5 times, then the agency then too can also essentially drop you from their service and be like, we don't want to work with you, you are unreliable. is basically what it goes down to. And the fact that my recruiter and the nurse that works with the agency fought, which I felt so much of a pushback until it had to be explained to me on both ends, from the recruiter and that nurse, was that, you know, it kind of messes with the agency's reputation. And like, because this agency is very much like connected with this hospital, I guess they get the most contracts into this hospital. A cancel contract lessens the faith of the hospital with the agency about the nurses that they bring in. Can they rely on their staffing? And he also did explain to me it can also work another way, because if other instances of stories happened or reported by other nurses, then too can bring down the number of recommendation of nurses of the agency bringing into the hospital. So just canceling is an okay thing to do if you are very sure about it. Okay, don't cancel just because you want to make a trip to wherever. I mean, it is a very serious decision, one not to take lightly. And I feel like if I was not part of the float pool and I was stuck to one floor and these instances were repeating on this one floor, I'm very much sure, as I had to do it in my report, about me trying to leave this particular facility, that I would have reported much sooner than it was. But since I was moving from floor to floor, the number of nurses that rotated through, so the incidents didn't look as though it was a pattern until it hit the fourth incidence of me being there. And this is now days apart, shifts apart from each other, different floors, different nurses. And so they became very understanding about it, I think, and they took it back to the hospital, presenting them with Jazz will not be continuing her extension in January. They came back with another like a double down proposal of, we'll let you pick a floor and you can stay on this floor. And again, I had to reiterate that, of course, these incidents happen on a variety of floors with a variety of nurses. So I didn't feel comfortable that that would be a guarantee, surefire of a non-repeat of these 13 weeks that I had already gone through. So I rejected their last comeback and contract canceled. And that is it. And so now I'm in the works for another contract for January. That is the story. Okay, guys. That is the story. Those are just really two prime examples. If you haven't seen the first part, go ahead and watch it. Those were the two prime examples that really, I think, broke the camel's back of just the callous of saying, I cannot stay here. It cannot happen. This is hospital-wide to me. But yeah. I'll see you tomorrow. Literally tomorrow. For Vlogmas Day 5. I'm going strong. I'm going strong. I feel like I can do it. I'll see you tomorrow, great nurses. Bye.